Well, folks, welcome to the show, and I'm very, very fortunate. I've got all the way from America, Beth Nielson Chapman on the line. How you doing, Beth?
Hello, good to see you.
Good
Good
to
to be
see
here.
you. Yeah, and you're making a welcome return to England. You're in England now, aren't you?
I am actually. I'm in beautiful Oxfordshire
Oh,
at
right.
my manager's house, and yeah, I just did a really fun banquet records show last night
Oh,
in
wow.
Kingston, and yeah, it was great fun. And last week I was at Christopher's songwriting camp with a bunch of legends and up and coming legends, and writing songs all week, and living in a beautiful mansion in Somerset. It was terrible,
Brought
terrible
the good
job, but
weather with
something.
you as well, haven't you? I mean,
Yeah, I brought the weather with me too. That's
yeah.
right. I'll take that.
I've just realised I've been out this morning all most of the day. I've just come back. I think I've caught the sun. I'm being,
Oh yeah, it's sunny. Yeah,
yeah.
the most
So
sun I've ever seen in England.
I
Really,
know,
all
I
in
know.
one day, all in one.
This is our summer. But you've got a brand new single, Hey Girl.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. It's a great track as well. We played it on the show last week as well. But tell us a bit more. What was the inspiration around that?
Well, I was writing with two of my friends, two of my girlfriends. One is Annie Roboff, who's a fantastic songwriter. She and I wrote several songs that were hits. Happy Girl, This Kiss. Anyway, we were writing with another writer, actually a UK artist named Jessica Sweetman, and we were talking about just, you know, we were actually talking about Ginger Rogers, who's a famous dancer, and she
Yeah.
danced a lot with Fred Astaire, and she would be being interviewed, and they would say, "So, what is it like to dance with Fred Astaire?" And she would say, "Well, it's great. I just do everything Fred does except backwards and in high heels." So we were laughing about that, thinking, there's a lot of things that girls have to do, kind of go the extra mile in this world. And so, yeah, the idea was just to write a really entertaining song that kind of highlighted some of the additional challenges that girls and women sometimes have to go through, but not wanting it to be a complainy kind of song. We thought would be fun to write this chorus. The chorus is very sort of tongue in cheek, but it's kind of celebrating sister to sister, like we can do this, we can get through this kind of thing.
Well, I tell you
So it's
what.
more complaining, but not totally complaining.
No, and that is a good point, really, because us guys, we put on this earth, really, but we would not be anywhere without you women, really, you girls.
Well, that goes both ways, but yeah.
Yeah, I think
And there's so many.
your side more than our side. I think keep us on the straight and narrow. You know.
Well, who knows where the lines are drawn, but we really had fun writing it. And interestingly enough, right about the time we were writing it, it was right during the time when all this stuff was in the news about Harry Weinstein, and he was getting arrested, and this whole Me Too movement was going on. And I said, well, I just want to make sure it's not sounding like we're jumping on the bandwagon. I just wanted it to be kind of an entertaining song about women, helping each other slog through it all. And it turned out great. We loved writing it, and the track was so much fun to cut. I worked with Ray Kennedy, fantastic
Yeah.
producer who, just did tons of classic records for Steve Earle and Lucinda Williams and Nitty Gritty Dirt Band's got a new one out with them. So he's very organic and old school. So he put the band together for me. I didn't even have any part in picking out who he chose. And I just walked in and we just slammed through the whole record in 6 days. It was
Wow.
great fun.
And
Yeah,
obviously,
all the vocals are live, and
wow. I mean, you've had such a varied career as well, but you've got a new album along the line as well, and obviously a UK tour that's actually coinciding with that. So tell us a little bit more about those events.
yeah. Yeah, the record is coming out. I've just done a label deal with Cooking Vinyl, and it's been great to work with their team. They've been fantastic. The whole record's coming out on September 25th. So I've got a tour starting on October 18th and goes for about a month. And I'm bringing over an artist named Scott Mulvihill, who's a fantastic, brilliant artist, and he's going to play upright bass and also perform in my band. And then I'll have two other musicians that'll be playing along. And yeah, because the record has just got this sort of feel of being a band, like a kind of stripped back band kind of thing. So it's going to be great fun to tour and bring the songs back into the world of three dimensions, where we exist more than just from the shoulders up.
It's been so crazy this last
Isn't
couple
it
of
crazy?
months. we've
Oh,
got artists clambering for venues because, just had Keith Urban, Brothers Osborne, Ashley McBryde, Cali Peace is coming around the corner, and all the festivals. It just seems there's a lot going on at the moment, And but I believe, looking at your tour, you obviously the length and breadth of the UK. I mean, coming to near my big city near me is Liverpool. I live
yeah.
about 15 miles away, and the Philharmonic Hall, I've actually played there myself as an artist, and it's
Oh,
just one of those, one of those
no.
big places, and the
Beautiful.
acoustics are amazing.
It's one of my favorite places to play when I come over here and tour. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much history in Liverpool too. That's just fantastic, and yeah, and the audiences over here are just my favorite. I just feel real connection to them. People really deeply understand and know artists and their music. They know the song. They know the hidden tracks on all the albums and stuff.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I remember what that was highlighted, quite a while ago, and I must be about 12, 13 years ago. Last time Toby Keith came,
Yeah.
and he played a song, Carbo San Lucas. He said, we never get a chance to play this. And in fact, he couldn't remember the chords. So he said, what key are we in? And then he was on about, obviously, when it's in America or when it's obviously on your production line, it's the hits, the radio, getting the hits. But now that radio is coming to the fore again, and obviously with community radio, which I'm part of as well, that we're not really beholden to actually having to play the hits after hits. Every hour you hear the same songs on the syndicated, throughout the world. But,
Yeah.
the smaller radio stations, we play what we want. We like that, or we get a request. Oh, can I have the third track of the fourth album? And it's like you appreciate the artist a lot more. And I like say, one of your friends and colleagues that you've appeared with, Vince Gill. I'm a massive Vince Gill fan, but I
Mhm.
like his album tracks pretty much more than the
Yeah. I mean,
hits.
the singles are like the tip of the iceberg, really, with Vince. And we wrote a big hit together back in 1991. I think it went to number one for Alabama, a song called "Here We Are."
Oh,
I was just talking about Vince to somebody else. When I did an album called Uncovered, which came out in 2014, where I took all the songs that I'd had that were hits for other artists and I did my own versions. And I called up Vince because we did a very different version of that song, and I said, let's cut it again, and like, will you perform it with me on this album? And he said, not only that, but I've got a whole studio full of musicians sitting here. We were asked to do this song for a soundtrack, and they gave us this huge budget, so we have 2 days of musicians sitting here waiting for something to record. I'm like, I'll be right over. And I literally went over to his house and we recorded it just like right
wow.
then and there. So he's just so generous, and yeah, he's the best, Vince.
I'm seeing him in, what are we on now? I'm seeing him in about 3 weeks, 4 weeks' time. He's playing 15 miles away with the Eagles.
Oh, he's coming over. Oh, good.
Yeah, a big soccer stadium, my favourite Liverpool football club. And it's they're playing there. They've got Little Big Town, they've got Alison Krauss, and it's at my football team, and it's 15 miles away. It's a no-brainer. I don't care what it costs. It's one of my favourite artists. The Eagles, one of my favourite bands.
Yeah.
It's a Molotov cocktail of enjoyment,
Oh,
So,
yeah.
but I also noticed, and one of the few guys could actually harmonise with Vince, and one of my favourite guys, Michael McDonald, has actually appeared on some of your stuff as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been pinching myself being able to write with Michael. And the last album he put out, I wrote a song with him on that album, and it's just a fantastic record. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head right now.
It's just one
But
of my
it,
all-time favourites, but he's the only
so
probably
good.
male singer that can actually harmonise with Vince, I think.
Yeah. And he writes the way I do. When we were writing together, we were just sitting at the piano at his studio, and he starts playing these chords, and he's going "Wah, wah, wah," and just making up words, but all the vowels line up to the final version of the song. He was already doing those vowels, just like I do that all the time when I write. It's just
Wow.
it's kind of spooky, but it keeps happening. So
Works.
it just comes to
Absolutely works, doesn't it? I mean, you
it
don't.
does.
I mean, that's an interesting thing. So when you sit down and write a song, is it the melody first for you, or is it the lyrics? Or
If
is it?
I'm left to my own devices, it's usually the melody first, or I have a lyrical thing that comes with the melody pretty quickly, and then I sort of follow it. But if it's the melody first without any lyrical idea, I just make up words
Yeah.
that don't make any sense. But the vowels will often coincide with, even if it's 2 years later when I finish the lyric. If I go back to the first work tape, All the vowels are in the right place.
Was it the
I can't
Beatles?
explain it.
What was it? Yesterday was ham and eggs.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I use that example all the time, like ham and eggs. Da, 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 da. Yeah, so I tell my students all the songs are perfectly written and they're stacked up neatly, waiting for us to download them.
Also,
One
tell us a little bit more about that, about students. Then, what's that side to your bow?
Oh, I teach a lot. I've taught a lot of workshops on Zoom and in person, and I teach advanced songwriters, starting out songwriters. Sometimes I'll do a workshop just on creativity, which is centered around all forms of creativity, and yeah, just try to get people to understand that there's no such thing as not being creative. You may not have tapped into your creativity, but you definitely have it, And once I get to work on their definition in their head for a little bit and get them to see it as this thing on the outside of us, really. It's like creative energy and creative flow is like the oxygen in a room, and we're breathing it. We have to breathe it to stay alive. So some people just have a better lung capacity because they might jog around the block every morning, or they go swimming, or you know they have a very efficient system of using that. So that's why people feel like I'm not creative and she is creative because I'm not doing anything and she's doing something. That gets mixed up with whether or not they have it. And it's like if I were standing in a room with you and we're both breathing the same air and you're saying I'm not getting as much oxygen as you, that might be true, but it's only going to be because of something going on in the way that you're using it, not whether or not it's there and whether or not you can have it. So once I give people permission to use the creative flow, it's really funny how they get into it. They start having fun with it and
It's
they
good.
start appreciating it. Yeah.
Well, it's really good. I spoke to one producer songwriter, and I said to him, do you ever have blank moments? He said, I do. I said, well, what do you do to overcome the blank moments? He said, I spend a full day in Walmart just people watching. Right.
That's a great
What?
idea.
What? And I thought, yeah, that's, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of tin beans, a tin of beans, something like ham and eggs, but no, it's a really good. Everybody's different, aren't they? I mean, some people crave co-writes and they go in fully armed. Some people like to do it on their own and then go to somebody else to sort of put the wrapping around it, put the bow on the wrapping. And
Yeah.
it's just quite interesting that no matter what it is, it's just getting it done. And for me, lockdown has obviously brought out more creativity in everybody because obviously the downtime.
Yeah, that's been a really interesting aspect of it. And actually, because it has stopped people from going out and doing other things with each other and getting all distracted and having fun with other people, it's made a lot of people very introspective. And I think people, you hear a lot about people deciding, I'm not going to do this job anymore. This doesn't do anything for me. This is not filling my soul. Life is short. I'm going to get a job that I like, even if I have to be unemployed
Yeah.
before I have to find it. That has been a really significant shift in humanity, I think. And I think my personal feeling is that we've all been just trying to survive this so far, and now it's starting to hopefully calm down. And I think next year and maybe the year after are going to be very emotional, implosive years.
Yeah.
I think that, what happened to me is I had breast cancer in the year 2000. And that whole year that I was taking treatments and I was trying to survive, make sure I lived and get over it and get my body back. And then they said, you're done, you're cancer free, go back to your life. And I was like, okay. And I thought, okay, well, I should be very grateful. And within about 3 or 4 months, I started feeling all this grief come up. Like I didn't have time to be grieving. I was busy trying to live, trying to survive last year. So the second year after breast cancer was much more difficult emotionally than the first year because I was like, I was going around going, wait a minute, did that really happen to me? Wait, that's not fair. So I went through all those, anger and frustration and sadness. I think that's going to happen in the world. I think it's going to be a time when we need a lot of songs to get us through it.
I think so, and
Yeah.
it's quite interesting that like over here in the UK, I've noticed obviously with the BCMA members as well that I've seen a lot of festivals over this last sort of 12 months when we could go to festivals. But it seems that the production people have made their own studios because they can't go to a studio, or they've had co-writes, or they've played and there's somebody else has played on Zoom. But the production, the content
Hmm.
And the overall package has actually exploded. I mean, C2C this year with all the during the day was just awash with unbelievable talent, and it just seems that everybody's raised the game.
Yeah, yeah, and we just have a level of gratefulness
Hmm.
to be there doing something live with an audience that's like we're just so grateful.
Yeah.
And I don't even think I realized how much I missed it till I got to do it a couple of times. I haven't done extensive touring, but I've done a few shows here and there, and it's just wow. I never realized how much fun this was. It's a gift, and I know we're not completely out of the woods. I mean, this thing is probably still going to continue to kind of morph and
Yeah.
in our lives, but we've made such a big shift from the terrifying part of it, hopefully permanently.
Well, how do you put it
Who
working?
knows?
Obviously, you've said you've not, the touring is sort of starting to increase
Hmm.
and gather momentum. I saw a brilliant video of Rod Stewart recently because he's preparing for a tour. So he's got a big football field at his mansion and he's doing shuttle runs and he's 70 something or other. And he keeps running. He said, I'm training for my up and coming tour. I thought, what? He's got, what does Beth do to
I should be
prepare?
doing that. I'm so bad about following up with all that. You know what I've been doing though? Do you know an artist named Newton Faulkner? He's here and he's a UK artist.
No,
He's
I
really
don't
great.
actually. No.
Check him out. He's really, really good.
Okay.
I just did a writer's thing with him up in the north of England, like in January, and he went out every morning and he had this thing that he called a flow rope, and it's like a big heavy rope, and
Yes,
he's
seen
doing
it.
all this, and I got one of those, and I've been getting into that. So you'll find me preparing for my tour with my
Wow.
flow rope. It
Just
it
give me
kind
some
of
drumsticks and crack
kind of
on.
got me off my butt, it kind of got me moving, and once you start moving, you feel good and you move more. But it's like that initial time to turn off the TV or close the laptop or get off the emails and get my rear end out the door and move it. And that really has been a great way to get going. Yeah.
I know, I think it was back in August. I think one of the lockdowns had eased, and I got a phone call off a friend of mine in Yorkshire. And he said, are you working tonight? 'Cause I've been a performer for like 20 odd years, but mainly covers for me and a couple of self writes and stuff. But I said, I'm not working now. He said, can you, one of the lads has got COVID. Can you come and fill in? Yeah. When? He said, well, tonight. I went,
Huh.
let me see if my gear still works.
Yeah.
So it was like, and my guitar's strung okay, and my fingers hurt the next day, and my voice was like Barry Manilow, Barry
Yeah.
White,
Yeah.
and I was like, but I loved it. It was great, but I was like, next day I couldn't get out of bed.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of muscles involved in all that. And
Oh,
I know what you're saying. Like I will definitely sing my way up to being, a lot of times there's there's several rehearsals right before you tour anyway, so that gets all my synapses firing. But yeah, all those muscles, you have to show up and work them out.
I just had this vision of being like Rocky Balboa, getting the raw eggs in the morning at like
Yeah.
5 and going treading the streets. But no, you've got your rope,
Yeah.
which is cool. Do you know what? I'm always shattered when I do the rope. When I do like that, it's like,
Oh, do you?
yeah,
Yeah, it's actually it looks like it's nothing, but it's definitely it's a workout. It's a
yeah, definitely not. Not mess with you. If you've got rope on the stage, I'm not messing with. Right, so let's go back to the beginning then.
All right.
Did it all start for you?
Well, I started writing songs when I was 11, and I got my first publishing deal when I was 15, which was really not a very good one. My dad co-signed for me, and it was a mistake. But I learned a lot
Yeah.
because that it was an artist and publishing deal, and my dad didn't even know a lawyer to look it over, so he sent it to this friend of his who was a cattle lawyer. And I tell my students, if you see if you see steer horns coming out of the wall, that's the wrong office for checking out your music contracts. So anyway, I got out of that deal, but that deal was sold to EMI, and the person who had signed me to that deal got $12,000 for my catalog. And I was like, what? And I was only like 19 or 20 at the time. And I was thinking, somebody paid somebody $12,000 for my songs. I think I had like 40 or 50 of them. And I thought, that's when I got the sense of this is actually valuable and I need to pay attention to how to protect myself in the future. So that was a good lesson for me. So then I did a record for Capitol Records, and it came out right at the same time as disco, and so it didn't really do anything. And then I went on strike for 3 years, and I had my son, and I pretended I wasn't ever going to be a songwriter again until I saw Coal Miner's Daughter, and I saw Loretta Lynn
Yeah.
planting vegetables with 3 children climbing all over her and writing a song. And I decided I was being way too big of a baby about it. And I just went back to writing songs. So 5 years after that, we moved to Nashville. And it was another 5 years before I got signed to Warner Brothers for 10 years and made quite a few records with them. So that's my quick notes going back as far as I can go.
I just
Like,
like the
woo,
fact
woo,
that
woo, woo.
I was just like I had this idea then, and this I've had too much coffee today, so I'm thinking about all sorts of strange things. But you have this cattleman look over your deal, so I was thinking you're getting paid with steaks and beef.
I know.
You know?
And then, when I got signed to Warner Brothers, I was very insistent that I wasn't a country artist because I knew that I was going to be, my songs that I recorded as an artist were going to be more like in the genre of singer-songwriter like Sean Colvin or
Yeah.
Joni Mitchell. But I was still writing hit songs. I had a big hit that I wrote for Willie, a song called Nothing I Can Do About It Now. And then This Kiss was a hit and Strong Enough to Bend. So people would think of me as a country artist naturally. So I was trying to make sure that when they presented me to the world, that Warner Brothers wasn't presenting me as a country artist because my record songs weren't going to be on the country radio. And I remember the first person they got to do my bio looked at my kind of general timeline. I was born in Harlingen, Texas, and then my dad was in the Air Force, so we moved all around until I was in high school. Then we moved to Montgomery, Alabama, which is where my family kind of still is because that's where we settled. But the first line of my bio said, Texas born, Alabama bred, Beth Nielson Chapman is a great songwriter or something. And I was like, oh my God, they made me sound like cattle. I mean, I sound like a cow,
Not been
And
branded, have you?
it took years to get rid of that bio. And it was just like, oh,
I've looked at your bio, and yeah, some
I
of
got that out of there.
Yeah, I got that out of there. Yeah.
That shouldn't be in that bio.
I know. I'm glad I didn't start with that.
Honestly.
Oh, so there's a lot going on. Like I said, you've got the tour going on, you've got the album going. So between now and the album release, are you going to release other singles or an EP,
Yes.
or is it just going to be full belt album?
Well, we're going to release at least one, maybe two more singles between now and when we put the album out. Yeah, and I like that. A lot of young artists aren't even putting albums out. They're putting out EPs or they're putting out, one song at a time. And I think that because of the way that we're in this world of streaming, it's a good way to build momentum. It's just a different way that we're doing things these days. So.
And will your album be on vinyl as well?
Yes, it is the first time since 1980 that I've had an album on vinyl. My very first album came out on vinyl.
I know. I need a record player now because I had a really good record player. Yeah, but in my attic, I've got originals, Rumors, you name it. I have originals in there, and I'm thinking I need to get a record player.
Yes, you do. I do too. I don't have one either. But I'm getting
one. Like £20 for Rumors now, just as off the shelf, And the one talking about vinyl, just briefly, something coming to me. I'm really great friends with James House. I've toured with him, and
I love James.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's been here. He's been to my home and whatever. Him and his manager Brian Smith at the time, who's with John Berry now, isn't he? And so why he was coming over, and I knew he was a huge Beatles fan. So I presented him with an EP that is very, very rare. It's the Magical Mystery Tour EP.
Oh,
but
wow.
It's got two singles, and in the middle is the book, as is the album. And
wow.
I think he's framed it. And I said, that's just in honor of you coming over to the UK and me and being part of your tour.
That's amazing.
Like, really? I went, yeah. Because I was doing a car boot sale many, many years ago, and I said to my dad, I've left my record box. Can you bring it? He brought the wrong box. So in that box was all these albums and EPs that I was telling you about, including that one. And people were going, 50p for this. I put it down. No, it's the wrong box. It's like, but they're like worth a lot of money now.
Yeah, they are.
I know. So, okay. One of the final question I'm going to ask you, and it's the question I ask a lot of my guests on the show, you have a fire pit party at the back, and you can invite 6 people from your past or your present that's inspired you. It could be family, it could be religious, it could be musicianship. Who would those 6 people be and why?
Oh, that's a really tough question. You should have sent that to me a month ago so I could really think it through. But
No, these are the questions we need to now.
I know,
Think of them.
and I literally have 2 more minutes before I have to jump off for
Okay.
another call, so I have to think fast. Okay, 6 people. Ella Fitzgerald,
Yep.
Annie Lennox,
Yep.
Mother Teresa.
Okay.
I'm just going off the top of my head. Um, let's see. Um, Leonard Cohen, probably.
Yep.
Um, George Harrison.
Nice. I like that.
What am I up to? 4?
No, that's 6.
Oh, is that 6?
I think that's 6. You've whisked through him. I want to say a big thank you, Beth. Good luck with the album, the single, and the tour. Hopefully, get to see you at Philharmonic in October. I think it is.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
No.
We'll get you in too if you
Yeah,
want.
no, that'd be lovely to see you. And God bless and safe trip home.
All right, take care and thank you so much. Great questions, but that's because you're a musician. So
Thank you very much. Bye bye.